Drop the pen. So let's see who turns up. So what I usually do is I start scribbling as well. Stop messing about. So, Trottino, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just gonna wait until a few more turn up. I am Walker 170. Oh, he's bounced. That's all right. Which we'll see. So I'm just gonna. Sometimes I just do a little practice run. So, how you doing? Welcome to Art Walker. We're just going to wait until a few more turn up and then we'll get into this hand drawing one because someone in the last live asked me to quickly do one. And as I haven't prepared anything, are they gone again? Yeah, they're gone. That's interesting. So, here we go. All right, can you guys hear me okay? We are going to be doing, how you doing, Rock? How you doing? We're going to be doing a hand drawing tutorial. As you guys know, um, I offer this service for free. So please hit the like button, share the live, and make sure you've got a pen and paper because my lives are pretty. Can I ask you something later? Ask me. You don't have to ask later. As you can see, I'm just scribbling up this hand very quickly just to show you guys how quickly it can be done once you follow me and you understand the fundamentals of what we're doing. Just now, we actually did one on 3D objects, right? So this is almost like a follow-up of the same tutorial that I just done literally 5 minutes ago. What's the question, Rock? Do you have a business? No, I don't have a business. Why? Why? I'm just going to keep going with this thing. Has everyone got a piece of paper and a pen? Has everyone got a piece of paper and a pen? I'm just going to scribble this further. Everyone ready to rumble. I'm interested in art. Okay. Okay. No, I don't have a business. So basically what you see is what you get here. This is my only involvement with art, really. Yeah, I can't really guide you on that. But what I can guide you on is how to draw hands. So we are going to draw the human hand. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, Maz, and we'll get into this. And if you like what you see, please hit the like button. Oh, thank you, Em. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I will say this every time I start my lives. I'm here to inspire because I wanted to go to art college and I couldn't because it was too expensive, right? So I'm trying to inspire ghetto youth worldwide, irrelevant from where you come, irrelevant of what you look like, irrelevant of your skin color, obviously, nationality, all of that. We throw that all away and we just learn together because art should unite in the same way that music should also unite. Yeah? No, I've never been hired to draw a book or something else. No, no, I've never. Unfortunately, not. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? That's right. So let's get into this, right? Um, Basically, what we're going to use to construct the human hand is lines. So practice drawing some lines yourself and circles, right? And I know that few have seen this kind of tutorial a million times, but unfortunately, every time I go online, everybody asks me, please, can you draw hands? They ask me all the time. So this is why I do it, because there is a supply and demand out there for hand drawing. So have you all drawn some circles and lines. So just literally draw some more, and then we'll get straight into it. We'll just warm up the pen, so to say. Yeah, hand drawing, mate. This is the evergreen. People ask for it all the time. The head, sorry, the face, or the head, the human head, the skull, and the hands comes up every time. They can't get enough. Well, obviously, it's totally different, isn't it? So many people. Yeah. So we're gonna get into it. I think even you can do this one. We should do this. Thank you for showing it. So the way I like to teach how to draw hands is the most basic way ever. Look at this. I'm going to show you guys. This is, don't say anything, Kim. Don't you say a word. You have this habit of jumping in. What does that look like, everyone? How clear is your imagination in 3D and rotate? How clear is it? It's okay. It's okay. I don't know. I don't even know how you how do you gauge that? How could I say, oh, brilliant, or you know? Well, I could imagine that as soon as I look at the word, I see the shape. I see the shape. So so what does yeah, yeah. Right. You this is where I know Kim's gonna start laughing, right? It is a pentagon, yes. However, just think of it as a crooked house, right? Think of it as a crooked house. I'm just going to close a door quickly. My son is playing music. So, if you look at that as a crooked house, that is actually represent the palm. Can I'm sure I can. I've never thought of doing it like that, but I did study cinema 4D actually, so that might have helped me a little bit to imagine things in a third dimension. So yes, this is the palm of the hand, basically. We add in the middle here a triangle. So if you have pen, draw a triangle here in the end here, right? So then now we literally have this triangle here, and we have the pentagon or the crooked house here, right? All that's missing are the knuckles. So wherever you see a circle, that is a knuckle or a joint. No, I think anyone can draw. I think anyone can draw and anyone can paint, guaranteed. And it's totally irrelevant what your skill level is as you enter whatever art that you're getting involved in. It's totally irrelevant. And you don't need to have talent because I think our artwork is more about perseverance than talent. Perseverance and practice. And then I believe you can do that. You can do pretty much anything when it comes to art, but it takes a lot of determination. So, hello Sylvia, how you doing? I'm extremely bad. Days ago. That's right. That's fine. We all have to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. So anyway, let's keep going. I digress. So circles represent joints. So we're going to add the fingers to our hand. So literally, we're just building the skeleton. Obviously, these two fingers are the same sort of height. Then we have the smallest finger. Then we add another joint, another joint, another joint, and so on. So we now have first level joins here. No, they're not on YouTube yet, but I am recording all the time. And it's actually recording now. And I didn't tell it to, but that is a good idea. Oh, wow. It actually started recording it on its own, which is good because I didn't, or did I? Not even sure. However, we seem to be recording. So this distance here is the same distance as our longest finger here. So that's what we have to bear in mind. We have to keep everything semi-proportional, right? So this distance here is the same as here. And then obviously the index finger and so on are slightly smaller. So we'll add those. That's a little bit too long, but never mind. No, that's not too bad. Not too bad. And then we have our smallest finger here. All right. So we've literally just built the skeleton of the human hand here. Yeah. You're welcome, Lauren. So this is, see, you see that? That's the skeleton of that my hand. You're welcome. I'm doing good, La Flame. How you doing? So now what we need to do is add cylinders. This is literally what we did just now, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth with regards to focusing just on the hand, right? And I know this is a lot of repeating for some people, but if you don't repeat, you won't make progress because then, say for example, if you want to draw hands in a foreshortened state where they're coming towards you, if you don't understand this basic principle, foreshortening is going to be very, very difficult for you. So even for me, sometimes when I'm foreshortening a hand, I have to really process, okay, what do I do here again? It's not as obvious as it sounds. And you don't just do something once and say, oh look, I've done it, it's finished. So bear that in mind. So when you look at me and you say, oh, he draws it so quickly, chances are I've drawn this, I don't know, 20,000 times. Do you see what I mean? So then all we need to do, the proportions are a little, I find that this finger's a little bit too long, but that's okay. Please forgive me. All we need to do is add our hand detail like so. The skin, uh, and we've drawn a pretty convincing hand just using circles, cylinders, and lines. Right? I'm just going to finish that quickly off and see if there are any questions. And let's bulge that out a little bit, like so. So who's leaving? Oh, 5K already. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So thank you very much for the follows and the gift, Tom, the tomato. Any questions about what I've done up until now? Any questions? Oh, wow. Has someone got some kind of automatic press or something? That's crazy. I've only been on 15 minutes. So anyway, any questions about what I've done up until now? I'll just give you guys a minute to write something. No? Oh, thank you, Hannibal. Have you got any questions? Any questions about what I've done up until now? I always struggle to apply what I see in these tutorials on paper. Apply it right now, because then you can ask me the question. What mindset? What mindset am I lacking What I don't, I'm not sure. That depends on how if you're struggling, what are you struggling with? Because a lot of things boil down to how badly do you want it? Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes it's just like, it's frustrating, but you can't lose sight of your goal. Yeah. It was going really badly, Mario. It was no, excuse me, Fat. It was going really rubbish in the beginning, but it's taking shape now. Can you break everything you want to draw? Yes, guaranteed. This is how I break things down. If I draw an insect, I break it down into basic shapes and then I throw everything on it. Do you see what I mean? Because if you look at a car is like a wedge shape. It's like a wedge shape. And it's just how you mold it after and how you sculpt it, right? Yeah, the proportions are a little bit off. Yeah. But yeah, we're talking about we're something just been sketched up in minutes. It's not okay. It's not like okay, this is about proportion. This is about the fundamentals of hand drawing. So the proportions you can play with yourself. And then because if I was to sit here and measure every joint and every it would be like so we're skipping a lot to keep it fast. Yeah, exactly. So once you know how to break it down, then you just have to draw it properly. You have to sit down and say, right, I have to proportionally work things out. So how off is this hand? You know, this finger may be little bit long, but I think that's a minor detail. I've been seriously drawing for around 9 months now. Is this? Well, you could use this technique for realistic hands as well. For example, I'm not using a pencil, but if let me use that technique again just to draw one finger, right? Because all this is teaching you is the mechanics of the hand and the mechanics of a finger, right? So for some people, this is quite difficult to process because they don't process this information like so. You see my finger? You process that information quite easily. So now all I would have to do is actually sketch up the creases of the hand. Do you see what I mean? And automatically, I'm not saying this is realistic. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if you draw a finger that looks like this, it's not terrible with regards to the mechanics and what it looks like. Obviously, you'd add some hatching where relevant, right? But that's pretty convincing. You could almost say comic style finger, right? But if you want to draw fine art, you're probably in the wrong place. But for me, if I'm drawing a hand and I draw it like so, I'm quite happy with that. For me, my artwork, I don't need to take my artwork much more detailed than that. You're welcome, Armand. I've drawn hands often, but I don't know. Right, they look a bit off. Okay, let me just. So, what I would suggest you do, like I've said before, a lot of people struggle with the basic mechanics of it. Taking it to the to highest level of realism, that is a totally different, not tutorial, that's a totally different world that you need to understand. But I truly, this is what I teach small kids. I teach them all the time to just draw this crooked house or this pentagon shape, but I like to call it a crooked house for the kids, you know? And then if you look at the knuckles here, your main knuckle. You just have to have a start point. And for me, this is for me a good start point because I have the basis. I have the basis. Yes, I am a teacher. Yes, I've become a teacher. Yeah. So you have this basis that you can just work with, right? And obviously, when you're sketching something up, a lot of what you sketch up needs to be done quickly. And then the fine tuning takes place afterwards. So, say for example, if I want to draw a hand in a different position, I'm literally just thinking about my crooked house, like so, and I've got a hand hanging or whatever from a different angle. And let me just bend that finger there, tuck, and bend that one here. See, I've just blitzed that really quickly, and if you're struggling, then you add your joints onto that. I'm not saying this is 100% correct. However, it's a good stepping stone if you are struggling to draw hands. Because now, oops, I've gone a bit wrong there. That's and literally, that was literally drawn in under 2 minutes, right? But that's a good stepping stone, I believe, because all you are doing is thinking of a basic shape, like so. We can add the fingers, the knuckles, and say, for example, if the hand is going pointing or whatever, let's say the two fingers are like this. I'm doing the same thing, same basic principles. So now we have hand. I have to be careful that it's not doesn't become something obscene, like so. So you're literally going like so. The fingers are going like that, and then we have our cylinders everywhere. So that helps you break down how to draw a hand in a little bit more complicated way, like so. The distance is here usually, but some people have short hands. The distance between here and here and here and here is roughly the same. Like this distance here is the same as here. And usually the hand is roughly the same size as your face. So I can imagine now everyone's putting their hands on their faces to check. But you can see it's about right. And there are a few little tricks like that you can look up as well. How can you find your art style? That's a tricky one. That is actually a tricky one. When you're drawing, how comfortable are you? What is your most comfortable style of drawing? Because my most comfortable style is pretty much like this. Obviously not as fast. Now I'm just blitzing everything because if I draw things slowly, people are just going to fall asleep, basically. So this is where I do sometimes have issues with proportion just because of speed. And I'm not rubbing out stuff, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm trying to upgrade everything. Yeah, I've got a new computer yesterday. I've got a microphone, and what else have I got? Yeah, I think I've been doing lives like this for the last maybe month or so about the nails. Right. So let's look at the fingers, right? So if we look at the finger and because it's not strictly it's not strictly a tube shape, is it? It's more like a bean. It's more like a bean shape, the fingertip. So if this is our basic shape, we're going to add to that. We're not just going to stick to that shape. And then obviously we're going to add a nail that follows the form of that shape. Do you see what I mean? Because if you draw the human body, it doesn't really look like that. However, when you start to add the form to it and curve it, you can turn that into a human body pretty easily, purely because you've just determined the basic shape of the body. You remember that just started like this. It's just a case of how far do you want to fine tune your hand? You get what I mean? Don't you have? Yes. I would recommend a good and yeah, a good knowledge of the anatomy might be helpful, but it might not be, right? Purely because if you draw a manga character, the hands are totally they're drawn totally differently. Let me try and they draw the hands very straight, like like this, and that they don't add many contours and like you see that is quite straight. That might be your style. You see, we've got two fingers here, and you can say, well, these don't look realistic, but they don't have to, right? For manga purposes, they would be fine to have fingers like so, and maybe we add a slight indentation, but that's down to your style. And obviously, when you start adding hatching and stuff like that, that's when you notice, oh yeah, I can see that we have a finger now here, slight indentations here and stuff like that. But that's down to you defining your style. Yours looks bad. Well, mine this doesn't look great either, but we have to persevere because if we have here, right? Think of it like this. One, two, I'll do it to the side. Two, one, two, three. We go one, then we have our tubing, two, and then we add another piece here for the bone, right? And then we go three. Sometimes when I draw things badly, it's because I haven't processed the object correctly, right? So now I say, yeah, that looks pretty convincing. One, which is here, two, which is here, and three, which is here. You have to patiently break it down, and then you can add the details. See, I'm just adding where the folds would be, right? And some cool shading. And I, that is a pretty convincing finger. It's not hyper realistic, but I don't want to draw hyper realistic anyway. For me, that would serve my purpose if I draw a finger and it looks like that. That would be enough. Yeah. And with regards oh, excuse me, with regards to proportion, just bear in mind, once you've learnt it, once you've learnt that this distance is has to be roughly the same, it's not like you have to relearn it. You just try not to forget it. You just try not to forget it, right? So you have proportions with regards to the face. You have proportions with regards to um, everything, really. Everything has to be proportional, or your style is disproportional. Could be. If you were to see a manga character walking down the street with the eyes like this, you would run away. You'd think, oh my God, those eyes are huge. But you can get away with it in a manga comic, or with the nose like this and the chin like that. Thank you very, very much for the follows, everyone, and the likes. Uh, Much appreciated. And I've received a few gifts as well from Bob and Heron, Red Heron, excuse me, and anyone else. I'm trying to get my. Yeah, that's good, good, good. Yeah. Any questions up until now? Any questions? No questions? I'm going to give it a moment to see if anyone's got any questions. And if you are practicing it and it's not working, let me know and I'll try and help you out. See that. I do love my highlighters. I have to get some new ones because I find it's helpful. I find that it helps a lot to have that color defined. Right. So, say for example, this is what I do from time to time. I just, I literally put my hand like that and I go, oh, how long does the thumb need to be? Do you see what I mean? And I literally put my hand there and I go, oh, yeah. So if I was to look at that and I wanted to fold that thumb towards here, it would probably fold to around here. Do you see what I mean? You can measure these things yourself. So if we move the thumb that way, maybe we could go a little bit longer. Let's just go a little bit longer. But you can measure these things yourself. So you get your hand and you fold it in. You get your hand, if this is my hand, and I think, oh yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to add some more detail to the hand. So I look at my hand, I have to look at that one, and then I add some folds and creases. This is where obviously you will be using your own hand as a reference, which is okay. Understood? Lymph, understood? You got that? So this is what these things you have to constantly evaluate. And this is what people say, when it comes to drawing, they don't realize that you have to evaluate every mark that you make. If I was to look at this mark here, I would say, this finger's not right. I'm constantly evaluating it. All right, so I'm going to correct that. Say, for example, here, I make a lot of mistakes, but say, for example, this leg here, I've put down some heavy lines where it's working correctly. This hand, I think is working correctly, you know? This hand wasn't. This hand also. Do you see what I mean? But this is all part of the process. You constantly have to be grinding and practicing. See, you can see here I was experimenting with drawing the fingers coming towards me. you know. And sometimes it is better that you take a picture of your own hand and try to draw your own hand, because the fingers have this strange way of curving inwards. You know, they've got the hand is almost like a bowl shape when you go like this, and that can be quite confusing to draw. You know, it's not an easy object to draw because it does bend like that, the hand. So if we've got our crooked house, it bends inwards like that. And then we can add the knuckles and the fingers. It's quite a tricky thing to draw. I appreciate that. So I'm going to see if there are any questions. And hold on, let me just see what's going on. Okay, lymph, you got that. Okay, yes. So, and then the thumb, if we draw a simple triangle like so, I'm not thinking about proportion at the moment, right? I'm just thinking, how can I turn that into a thumb? And then obviously you have to think, how does a thumb bend? So, oh yeah, it bends like that. So I'm just drawing this thumb on its own, right? And you could probably say, oh yeah, but that's not really, a thumb doesn't really look like that. But then if I add the detail to it, a thumb does look like that. But all I'm trying to understand is the foundation for what is under here. What is under here? You see? And then I've got my thumb. I've simplified it, and then I've drawn it. And then I'll add some slight bulging here, slight bulging here on the joints. And for me, that's quite a convincing thumb. And for my style of artwork, I don't need anything else. Good stuff. So, anyone got any questions? And if you like what you see, please hit the like button. Let's keep going with this. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to think of what you may want to ask. And work with references if you have to. It's very important. Get someone to stand in front of you and literally put their hand in certain positions and see if you can break that hand down. That's what I do. Like now, I need to practice foreshortening the hand, but because the hand can be quite complicated, you might have to see it first. Like if I put my hand like this in front of the camera, it's quite complicated to just visualize it straight away. I will try, but it's quite difficult. I've been doing this with my hand, my own hand, because I'm lonely. I'm on my own as well, mate. Don't worry. You're not lonely. We've got how many people? 47 people in the chat. You're not on your own. You're not on your own. So let me see if I can draw. So now I'm foreshortening this hand or this finger. Oh, I have to be careful. My breast often wants me to draw. Been non-stop practicing hands. It feels like the sign. Oh, okay, okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Um, I was just finishing here. Say, for example, here, if I'm sketching this hand out, I probably wouldn't sketch out the crooked house. However, the process would be the same. I'm thinking, where would the joints be? I'm thinking, where would the main knuckles be? And then I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a joint here. There's also a joint here, fingertip here. So now we've got a hand like a kind of, not, yeah, sort of like a Spider-Man hand, where it's literally, it's almost like he's climbing towards us, right? So this is how I would break that down. And then we got the fingertip here, the fingertip here. So now this system of these cylinders has come in handy, because now I see, or now I know how to break down the hand in simple shapes, if you get what I mean. You see that? So now it's like this. It's quite a complicated hand. Obviously, I haven't added the thumb. And if I wanted to draw a hand like that, I would probably take a photograph and look at it and study it. It's quite, I wouldn't just do it like this. But if I wanted to keep this, I could still work on this really for my purposes. If I was drawing someone and he had his hand like this, I'd probably get away with this actually. I would probably get away with this for my style of artwork. However, it wouldn't be realistic, like so. And then I don't know if his head was behind here, you can almost feel like he's going like that already. Thank you, Danish. How do I render it? So if, like, for example, here I've got, these are not great examples because these are very scrappy, and these are practice sheets, right? But if if I'm rendering with the Bic, because obviously with the pencil it's totally different. Framing? Mm, not sure. So say for example, if you're thinking, you have to think of your light sources every time, right? Every time, light source is very important. Um, you have to think where folds are, huh? And for me, you have to practice simple hatch lines. And obviously you have to practice them in different directions. You have to think about how your hatch affects your object. So for example, if I just draw lines like this within this circle, it hasn't turned this into a 3D object, has it? If anything, it's flattened the object, right? So we've been going for 43 minutes, so you've probably got another 10 minutes, mate. So if we draw another circle, we're going to use the same technique, but I'm going to have the lines a little bit closer, and I'm going to vary the height of the lines. Check out what happens. See? Now we've got flat. This is flat. And this is now 3D. It's how you use the lines. Do you see what I'm saying? And then if you say, okay, we've done one run of lines, I'm going to do a second run of lines. It's a bit small. I should have done it a bit bigger. But now we've made it even more three-dimensional. Obviously, we could add a little bit of shadow as well. But that we could never do that with this here. It's just flattened it. The hatching that we've done has just flattened it already. All right then, mate. No problem, Kim. It's the chat is flowing nicely. I think I've got pretty much good control of it. Thank you, Trace, for the comment. Have a good day, mate. I need to go and do some stuff myself. This is going to be probably the last one for the day. Thank you very much, mate. As always. Has anyone got any questions? Do you have other online classes? Yeah, I will be posting all of my lives on YouTube. Unfortunately, I haven't done it yet. It's just been a very, very hectic time at the moment. So please be patient. Yes. Yeah, it's actually called Art Walker. On my feed, on my TikTok feed, you can see it. It's got direct to my Discord and my YouTube. You're more than welcome, Lizette. You're more than welcome. Oh, thank you. Oh, God bless. That's really nice. I think you've appreciated what I've showed you then. I take it. Oh, Trace, the simple lines. My, I swear to you, I believe that that drawing is simply understanding how to use lines and circles really, right? As you know, we can draw a human body, like we can draw a hand just drawing lines and circles, right? I've just demonstrated that. We've drawn a hand like that, lines, circles. We can draw a face with lines and circles. So understanding lines and circles for me is the key to everything, right? So if you can, let me grab an example. Actually, let me just grab an example. Um, just a moment. I'm just gonna. Does anyone want to see anything specific? Like, so I'm just gonna grab that. So, for example, that. See, we've got some examples here. You see a lot of hatching. I'm highlighting a lot of shadow. I'm aiming. The aim was to highlight depth and also comparing body shapes. And these are just lines, thousands of lines, right? Like here, I haven't added any tone to this fluid or whatever this zombie character is holding on to, you know? But you can see it's like an optical illusion. You think, oh yeah, there's something that's dripped on top of that arm, right? In the same way, um, I'm just looking. No, these ones are my actual zombie ones. I don't want to show you those because I don't know if there are kids in here. So I won't show you them. I'm going to show you, um, yeah, something a little bit more family friendly. This is my folder. In fact, I'll just go through the folder, right? It- You can see sketch a lot with the pen, right? So this is an old, very old drawing, but it's beautiful drawing. I love this drawing, um, because it's part of my journey, right? Part of my growth. See, and it's just understanding anatomy, lines. And hold on, I'm going to grab. Yeah, we've got a few. We've got what's her name? Rebecca here. See, lines and circles. And then obviously you have to understand. I like to put a framework around things because that helps me draw Rebecca's face because I've got this frame, for example, right? Um, and then you've got this young lady here. These are just curved lines. You see that? Maybe it's reflecting a bit too much. You see? See, this is where you just have to master the pen or the pencil, and you literally have to do these lines as many times as possible. And then you start to experiment with these lines and you think, well, if I do many of these lines, what effect does it? Oh, my pen's dying. Sorry, it's dying. If I press a little bit harder, what effect does it have? Right? Um, what else can I say about that? So, for example, for me, the key is something that you really have to understand. If we, even if we just work with lines, for example, here, this is, even if we just work with lines, look at this. I'm just doing lines. And watch what happens when I do just lines. Just with vertical lines, I've created a surface, a 3D surface. It doesn't look as obvious as it should do, but look, if I add some depth to this, oops, my pen's not happy. See that? Look at that. Can you see that? We now have like an M shape just with lines. Do you see what I mean? So these are the things, little things like this. You have these practice sheets. For example, if I'm drawing a male calf, this is the calf itself, right? The back of the leg, tuck tuck. I don't just render it straight like that because it's going to flatten it probably. But what I would do is experiment, and I think, the muscle moves in sort of this direction, then it goes in that direction, and it goes in that direction, and then that direction. So then what I will do is try to emulate that by adding the shading where required and follow the muscle. You see that? It looks a bit hard. It looks like a hard material at the moment, but obviously we can tidy that up, soften it, with some more tone and stuff like that. The reason why it was so hard looking was because the lines were too straight. And then we can add another layer and another layer, and then we've got half rendered very quickly. Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. Really, I would strongly recommend that just go a little, like do little lines, then go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. This pen is really playing up. Must be the heat. Then go smaller, then go larger, and then smaller, and see what happens. What do you see? What effect does it have? And I'm gonna go next to it. See, I would do this if you ever have some sort of mental block with regards to I don't know what to not know what to draw. Do things like that. Because all of a sudden you think, oh, that's quite interesting. Let me just add a line to that. And that almost looks like some sort of vein. That's how I draw veins in I haven't got an example here, but that's how you can draw veins like that. And you can think, oh yeah, let me just draw. I'm going to play with this like that. Tuck, tuck, tuck. See that? And now this almost looks like a kind of vein running along here. Exactly. Oh, yeah, oh, that's nice. You're welcome. Yeah, this is what I mean. But you have to experiment. If, like, say, for example, this finger, you look at this finger and you think, okay, think first. How am I going to hatch it so that I don't flatten it, right? So then I think, right, okay. What I often do, and I should do it a little bit more disciplined as well, what I often do is I'll say to myself, right, let me highlight the area that I want to stay lit, like so. And I say, right, so this area here that I've just sketched out with the pencil, I do not draw on. So that stays white, right? And well lit. And the rest I hatch. So I set this boundary, and that prevents me making mistakes because I don't draw on that area that I want to keep white or lit, so to say. Experiment all the time. And say, for example, practice, practice hatching. Can't emphasize that enough. And then obviously you start to change the angles of your hatching as well. That's important as well. Just little things like that. You can't do enough. You're welcome, Abby. I hope it makes sense. But this is the basic foundation to every drawing. There's not a lot that I can say apart from like drawing a body, a female body like that. You can start it simply like this. That's how I would start it. Then I add the hips, and I'm drawing into. I do that all the time. Sorry. And you can go like that. And we've got a little, a full female in under 30 seconds. Do you see what I mean? You just, and experiment, draw like this, and don't worry about mistakes. These have got plenty of mistakes on them all over there. There's terrible stuff on there. Not terrible, but that's all part of the practice, 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 practice. It's not wasted, it's not a wasted effort. And sometimes don't have really, really high expectations because if you set your bar too high, that can be dangerous. Oh, thank you. You seem super. I'm gonna follow. Oh, that's not. Yeah, hit the like button. I haven't said that. Said anything about that actually. So if you like what you see, please hit the like button. And as I said, I do this for free because I didn't go to art college, but the results, I'm getting better. I'm getting better, and I've got some my own aspirations, my own artistic aspirations. You still can't draw anatomy. Oh, that's a shame. Um, if I was to teach you anatomy, So for example, here, this is my board because my desk is really old. It's got some digs in it and stuff like that. Yes, I'm self-taught. Yeah. If I was to teach you anatomy, I would teach you the same as I taught you here. So for example, here, the back, I would tell you straight away. You can see that. Let me just put that there. I would tell you to start it literally like this. And you can draw that shape. Yeah. So then I would say, right, okay, you can draw maybe an arc here, and then we draw a V shape here. And that's, I've literally got a tutorial on my feed. So check it out. And then you can look, you just keep going from there. But it started with a very, very basic shape. And then after that, it's just fine tuning everything, really. And I think in my tutorial, I actually don't draw the shoulder like that initially. I draw it. How do I do it? I can't remember because I do everything geometrically like so. I think I even put a diamond shape there first, and then you simply round it off, and then after that you just add all of the details, and then you round everything off nicely like so. You see my point? That's how I do it. Because I find that I remember things when they're geometrical initially, like that. I could turn that into a shoulder quite easily. And especially if I have to draw two shoulders the same, all I have to do is remember how to draw that shape. It's like drawing two eyes the same. It can be different or difficult if you don't have the same framework. Like, I'm going to go like, tuck, tuck, tuck. See, I've got the same framework. So all I have to do is fit the eye within that framework. Obviously, I'll take a lot more time with it. But you see, that's how I'll draw two eyes and make them look the same. All I have to do now is round it all off. And I've got quite symmetrical eyes. So, just quickly, you're more than welcome, Kendra. So, we still got people in the room. Um, yeah, so I'll just keep going with what I was saying, like tick, tack, tick, tack. See that? Basic. That is literally just that. Then rounding it off. And then add in the details, and then add in the details, and then add in the details. Are the eyes symmetrical? Well, probably not. But I haven't used a ruler, and I haven't sat here for 3 hours doing it. I literally drew that in, let's say, 2 minutes. But this is how I would do it. See? I don't think that they're too bad. I don't know if you feel that these are not symmetrical, but nobody is fully symmetrical. However, if I was to draw a character, I would obviously take a lot more time. I have a ruler here, like so, and then okay, I'm going symmetrical. I'm going to measure everything. But when you're sketching, I'm sketching for speed. I'm not sketching to make everything exactly correct. Because I'm sure you guys wouldn't want to see me draw this because I will be stuck here for maybe 10 minutes. Isn't it funny? There's was the rule of thirds, and there's what's that other one? I need to look it up myself, to be honest. I wrote it down here. Yeah, the golden thirds ratio. And what was the other one that I looked up the other day? Fibonacci sequence and stuff. Not really. I'm not really qualified to tell you about these things yet. There's a lot of little rules that you can learn that will help your artwork, 100%. But I'm not qualified to really tell you if it's right or wrong. But at the beginning, I did actually talk about thirds, the rule of thirds, with regards to the face, because we have one, two, three. The human skull is divided into thirds, right? So you get one, two, and three. So yeah, it does work. The eyes is the distance between the eyes is the same, and it's one, two, and three. So yes, but I don't have anything on it at the moment. I am I'm new to TikTok. Well, not that new now. I've been doing it for 9 months now. So I'm a bit behind on the whole social media thing. So I will be posting these videos, and hopefully at some point, if I get the time, I can post some good ones because these ones are very spontaneous. Daniels, who is Daniels? Hey Walker, can I'm really gonna stick to the hands today, mate. If I'm honest, because I did the face earlier on, and I've literally been doing 2 hours of tutorials already. Feeling a little bit of a headache coming on actually, so I think I might have to wind this down. Got a little bit of a headache because I think earlier this morning, yeah, this camera was playing out. It kind of made me a bit unhappy. So, anyone else got any questions before I wind this down? And the sun's out. I need to go. I need to go and get some sun, I think. And then if anything tomorrow, I'll be fit and ready to go again. Oh, that's not. Oh, your car broke down. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, I'll be right. I think I just need to eat something and, just take a bit of a rest. The sun is out. It's a lovely day. I think I'll have to go out and enjoy the sun a little bit. Good. So thank you all for the people that send me the lovely gifts and stuff like that. Thank you for your support and your shares and man, 23,000 likes. That is absolutely awesome. Um, I will probably not go online again today, but look out for me tomorrow, and then I'll do a more structured tutorial like this. Probably maybe the mouth, the lips, the eyes. So many things to learn, so many things to learn. I wish you all a lovely Sunday? No, a lovely Saturday, and possibly see each other again tomorrow on Sunday. Have a good one. Take care. Bye bye. You too. Take care. Bye bye. Oops.